want to start a new genre of music. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's called gay pop. Songs like...
It's a Hollywood cliche, but unfortunately true, that talented children rarely have it easy transitioning their careers around childhood, much less transitioning to adulthood themselves. The recent strings of controversies around Dance Mom's kid-turned-up pop star Jojo Siwa, however, reminds us that rebranding from a child star to a mature one isn't easy, especially if your brand was perhaps never understood by many to begin with. Since Siwa started promoting her new single Kama over a year ago, the backlash from fans and haters alike has been virtually non-stop. Audiences have trashed her for everything from allegedly stealing the song itself, which she didn't, to getting so sexual in the music video, which went viral in the part due to the outrage over a scene in which she dry humps another woman. But hey, she did warn us that it wouldn't be a kid-friendly video. All of this outrage is simultaneously more and less complicated than it looks on the surface. On the one hand, Siwa is yet another youngster who has had trouble putting an end to the aura of their childhood cuteness, and who is being perceived as trying too hard to shock us, with a rebrand many seem to view as gross and oversized sexualized. However, on the other hand, the controversy seems to suggest that there is a limit to what kind of public queerness we are comfortable with, especially regarding queer women. On top of all this, there is an arguably separated conversation about the actually offensive things Siwa has allegedly done and said, a series of missteps and business decisions and profound failures to read the pre-verbal room that couldn't be ignored. Jojo Siwa has been a fixture of competitive reality TV thanks to her striking personality, nimble dancing, and perhaps most famously, her collection of big braid hair bowl made by her mom.
You know, your hair is getting really dark. We're gonna need to lighten this up.
I have been dyeing my hair since I was like 2, maybe 1.5. I'm not a natural blonde. I'm actually a natural brown. I get brown roots, so I have to dye it so it looks like I'm a natural blonde.
Abby can't say we didn't go all out. We went all out. You get out there and work it. Just listen to your music and dance.
Siwa joined the Dance Moms universe in 2013 when Dance Moms instructor Abby Lee Miller, who ran the show's Faco Dance Studio, highlighted her as a guest dancer on the spin-off series Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition. She joined the main show in its 4th season the following year, then rode the reality dance show wave through the rest of her adolescence and early adulthood. Siwa grew her fanbase through YouTube via OXMG Pop channel. Her hit 2016 Boomerang, released when Siwa was almost 13 years, currently sits just shy of 1 billion views. The video sees her sporting her trademark bows and fully embracing her ice cream-colored teen girl bubble pop era. On the strength of its success, Siwa signed a lucrative deal with Nickelodeon in 2017 to do a similar work aimed at Nickelodeon's target audience of preteens, leading Siwa to a helm of an empire of children's programming that netted her an estimated $20 million over the years. In 2020, Time named Siwa at 17 one of its 100 most influential people. Siwa's Nickelodeon era plays like an extended Hannah Montana remix or fully kid-themed ditzy pop. Simultaneously, however, she continued with her dance show career, using it to help her transition toward more adult mediums. She featured as a singing, dancing T-Rex on the 3rd season of Masked Singer in 2020. After casually coming out in a tweet in 2021, she competed with Dancing with the Stars in its 30th season, dancing to upbeat queer anthems like Born This Way, as part of the historic same-sex dance team. The last 2 seasons of So You Think You Can Dance have seen Siwa joining the show as a somewhat controversial judge. You might expect that with much influence and popularity and ability to leverage on her dancing skills in the ongoing career, Siwa would relatively have little problems transitioning out of her Nickelodeon phase, but therein lies the problem. The image she is trying out now is, depending on how you talk to, either a step too far removed from the earlier spunky kid for many fans to take, or let's just say far enough. If you didn't know, child stars and celebrities embody not only our culture's ideals of childhood, but also demonstrate how contradictory these ideals actually are. Dejoy Becker, who researches child stars as a media and cinema studies lecturer for RMIT University in Melbourne, told Vox in an email, child celebrities are expected to act as if they are not getting older and maintain a childhood-like innocence or face public outrage. With Kama, the outrage at Siwa seemed to peak. Siwa's Kama music video released on April 5th, yet due to the incendiary previews of a fully sexualized Siwa, it was drawing backlash well before it was released. The general consensus was that Siwa was trying so hard to perform a hypersexualized, raunchy caricature of her own queerness, and the actual video only seemed to confirm that view. Highlights include Siwa's much mocked choreography and a sequence in which Siwa makes out with a series of different women, set to lyrics about infidelity and reaping what she saw. The general public's distaste of Siwa's Kama persona involved debates about authenticity and whether her style is real, a conversation that soon extended controversy over the song itself and whether it's also really her. A conversation which extended a controversy over the song itself. Now here is the catch. Things kicked off when Siwa claimed to invent a subgenre of a music that already existed. "I want to start a new genre of music," she told Billboard on April 5th, called gay pop.
I want to start a new genre of music. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's called gay pop. Songs like...
She then went on to list examples of songs like Lady Gaga's Applause and her own version of Kama, prompting many people to respond by nothing but the long history of queer pop artists and the long existence of the music she claimed to want to start. She quickly corrected the statement, telling TMZ less than a week later that definitely she wasn't the inventor of the style, but rather wanted to be a piece in making it bigger than it already is. By the time Siwa walked back to the unfortunate statement, however, the hostility toward her already qualified. On April 12th, artist Lily Tay slammed Siwa on X. Nothing that she didn't buy the song. Her 2023 single Sucker for Green or Hire a Ghostwriter, implying that it's true that Siwa didn't rate Kama, but rather picked up a new production of an old track. According to Siwa, she was pitched to an old song that had been recorded by previous artists, including Miley Cyrus, who never released it. Although it's a completely pedestrian thing for artists to release previously unreleased or little-known tracks, most of the artists hadn't recently claimed to be inventing something new. And the backlash that settled on Siwa was so severe. As part of the virality of the outrage, fans discovered singer Brit Smith's 2012 version of Kama and boosted its sales, pushing the artist to a surprise #1 spot on Billboard's electronic digital chart, all while pushing a milestone of 5 million Spotify streams aimed in all noise over Siwa. That doesn't mean that the reception of Kama has been fully negative. However, Siwa's version did not open across multiple ranking charts, and she played to a crowd of over 50,000 at the Miami Beach Pride Festival on April 14th, performing Kama for enthusiastic fans and reportedly breaking audience records. Still, the sheer level of the public's anger towards Siwa suggests that something deeper is happening. It might stem from career growing pains of a young adult making young adult mistakes, but part of it seems to be boiling down a fundamental misunderstanding of Siwa herself. During her time on Dance Moms, Siwa was portrayed as colorful, loud, opinionated, obnoxious, and sometimes maybe rude. Siwa channeled that energy into her performances, which usually reflected an edge personality and powerful. An edge personality and a powerful athletic dancing. The balls she always wore, followed by her Nickelodeon era, may have given her audience false impression of Siwa as forever innocent, stuck in arrested development as a preteen. Writing for Vogue in 2021, Emma Spectacle urged Siwa had built a brand of the kind of glittery board festooned femininity that is typically reserved for straight women. A brand that her coming out, especially at the age of 17, worked to subvert. But in fact, there is really nothing much different between one of Siwa's early dance routines and her current Rebrand. It's not a stretch, for example, to see the girl who performed a tag-wagging, electricity trotting out a Kiss homage for an award show. Abiliwa herself recognized Siwa's underlying consistency when she reacted to Kama on TikTok.
I'm watching Karma for the very first time, I swear. This is it, here we go.
Everyone is making such a big deal out of the Rebrand, she noted. I think it's Jojo with paint on her face and a fabulous costume. It's always been Jojo. On the other hand, the backlash from the aesthetic has resurfaced some not so good things Siwa has actually done. Though Siwa in her late 20s, the list of her controversies and allegedly offensive behavior would be notable for a star at any age. Everything from marketing a makeup line that was called for containing asbestos to allegedly helping create abusive work environment for members of her failed pop group XOMG Pop, for defending and continuing to be friends with disgraced YouTuber Colin Balinga after Balinga allegedly engaged her underage fans in inappropriate sexual exchanges. Though some of these claims and allegations ain't necessarily Siwa's fault, many seem completely avoidable. Like the time a wild child dancer was asked to don brown monkey makeup for her 2020 music video Non-Stop, responding to backlash over the alleged blackface. Siwa doubled down rather than apologizing. That's less or less MO for those situations, forging ahead rather than her wasting time asking for forgiveness. And while there is a huge difference between an adult putting a kid in a black face and a 17-year-old Siwa doing it, she's old enough to know better. Still, none of these controversies were what caused such deep outrage in these days since Karma was released. And it's hard not to think that these negative responses ultimately boils down to a mismatch of expectations between Siwa's expected public audience and the core queer audience to whom she's performing. It's hard not to compare Siwa's fairly tame performance of queer sexuality in Karma to Lil Nas X's widely successful Metro music video. Both were entries of established pop stars in a queer space, claiming their recently announced sexualities through raunchy, glittery, erotic performances. Metro saw Lil Nas riding a stripper pole and giving the literal devil a lap dance before crowning himself the king of hell. By comparison, Karma is milder and murkier. Siwa uses the muddled metaphor of a sea monster emerging from the ocean to illustrate the anxieties of a girl who can't choose between any of the beautiful women in her orbit. Admittedly, Montero is a lot more fun, full of far more creative and innovative artistry. It's hard not to wonder if the vast difference between the public's glee and delight in Montero and its disdain and the reason for Siwa's Karma is ultimately about a misogynistic refusal to let female pop stars grow up, at least without forcing them into rigged parameters of what that adulthood looks like. It's predominantly white, able-boiled, and ostensibly asexual, with an expectation that growing up with both heteronormative and yet as non-sexual as possible, particularly for women. This pattern has been seen again and again, with female child stars such as Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, and Lindsay Lohan. The Siwa backlash closely mirrors the backlash her teen pop predecessor Miley Cyrus received during a decade ago. At the same age of 20, after twerking with Robin Thicke in 2013, a move for which Cyrus recently confessed she carried some guilt and shame. I was creating attention for myself because I was diving myself into a character I had played. Cyrus told British Vogue last year, "Anyone when you're 20 or 21, you have more to prove. I am not my parents, I am who I am." Siwa has called Cyrus her #1 idol for making the transition to an adult brand. A good deal of criticism Cyrus faced in 2013 focused on racially insensitive cultural appropriation of her twerking, with both women's queerness and their performance of their queerness against their earlier sexualized child star images may have amplified the backlash they received. That Miley Cyrus is pansexual and Siwa is lesbian, which means they do not fit into the restrictive ideals of childhood, the child star or growing up that still dominates. After all, apart from Siwa claiming her sexuality, just about everything else about her aesthetic is the same. She's still colorful, opinionated, and backed by innumerable sparkly outfits. It's somewhat ironic, then, that Karma has provoked such conversations about authenticity. Love her or hate her, the Jojo Siwa we know now was arguably the Jojo we had all along. Well, that's my opinion about Jojo Siwa's new rebrand. If you have any comments about this video, leave your comments down in the comment section below. For me, till next time, see you in my